Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce coming to you with episode 41 with the JP8 Report. The name of this episode is The Whisperer and His Sidekick. Thank y'all for joining me for this episode. It's a nice day outside. I'm in Coppers Cove, Texas, if you didn't know. Before we get started, I wanted to remind you about subscribing to the podcast. So if this is your first, second, third, 10th time or 41st time watching the podcast and you haven't already subscribed, please do so, whether it be on Rumble or Podbean or YouTube. Subscribe and get notifications so whenever I publish, you'll get a fresh copy of the podcast as it goes out. So the other day, whether you've been watching the news or not, there was negotiations between some Republicans that thought they could convince President Biden to compromise on the infrastructure bill. So they went up to the White House and they talked for a while, and this comes to this and this comes to that, and all of a sudden they came to an agreement. It was like a $900 or $1 trillion, $900 billion or between $900 billion and $1 trillion infrastructure package. The stuff that needed to be done, whether it be like bridges or roads. I think even broadband stuff was included in it, which is infrastructure, right? And so I think it was like 12 Republicans that were up there. And, it's good that they come about and do their thing because that's what we like them to do. So afterward, all of them, photo op, gather around the president, like a bunch of lemmings. We go get their picture and listen to the president talk to the country about the great accomplishment that they made. And then he said this. There we go. Ready, and here we go.
And he said when people are waiting for relief, I got them $1.9 trillion relief so far. They're going to be getting checks in the mail that are consequential this week. So just remind them, I wrote the bill on the environment. Why would I not be for it? Guess what? Employers can't find workers. I said, yeah, pay them more. And he said,
Okay, I'm back. So, what's with all the whispering? I can whisper if I want to. And you know what? All it does is annoy people. And my wife told me last night, whenever I whisper, she can't hear me. So what's he trying to do? Is he just trying to showboat and try to tell people that he can actually negotiate himself also? It's stupid. Things, people don't understand what's going on. Sometimes they, but they only listen to the news and get the so-called news and get their, watch the news to get their news. But a lot of times it's opinionated. I mean, I watch my opinionated stuff too. They call me activism podcast because I'm primarily a one-person show. A lot of podcasters do that. They don't have interviews and stuff with people all the time. Matter of fact, I like to listen to Dan Bongino. I mean, this guy, former Secret Service agent and a New York City police officer, and he does the Dan Bongino show on Rumble. Man, if you ever need to listen to someone that's really good too, listen to him. Listen to me, then listen to him. But he does this show 5 days a week. And he has people that help him get everything put together. But just go over a couple of things. The most important thing is when the president said, "Pay them more." Really? Okay. I own my own company. I own a construction remodeling company. Okay. I pay my guys really well, but it's a skills related job. And when they come to work for me, I don't pay them the way I do after they've been with me a year, 2 years, or even 3 years. Um, I have one guy that's been with me over 6. Um, but to tell employers that if they want more employees, they have to pay them more or they won't come to work, is he telling people not to go get a job? To continue to sit at home in their parents' basement and do nothing but watch TV all day? To collect those federal unemployment benefits? And oh, by the way, this week, what's it? I think it's next week. The enhanced child care benefits go into effect. Hopefully, they don't leave the state of emergency going on forever and ever, so that people still collect those, and so it becomes a permanent benefit again. But that's $300, $300 a month per child, or some. It's a lot of money. There's more incentive for people not to work. What are we fooling ourselves? Do we have enough money in our treasury to pay for stuff like this? And no, we don't. No, we don't. Next time you say, I want the minimum wage to be $15 an hour, do you want to pay $8 and some cents for I was about to name a restaurant. I won't do that. For a burger combo meal at a good restaurant, or you want to pay $12 or $13 for that same meal? Well, you might be saying, well, they need to pay the employees a living wage, but do you understand that the profit margin at a fast food restaurant is minuscule? The labor at a fast food restaurant, labor per hour isn't supposed to go, I believe, over 22%. Okay, that's so the restaurants can actually make a profit. Now, the problem with that is, you said, well, they should be able to make more money. Well, that restaurant has got to pay for the food. They got to pay for the labor. They got to pay for the building. They got to pay for utilities. And not only with the labor, they got to pay the actual management and the corporate management. And it all goes into one. And I know these people got these bean counters up there, whether it be in San Antonio or Chicago or New York City, and they know to the dime what they need to spend. And then you look at it and it's like sometimes people don't even go to some of these places because they don't want to wait in lines. And waiting in line for 5 minutes is not waiting in line. But if you're waiting in line for 30 minutes to try to sit down, and you're like, no, I've had it. I'm leaving. We went to a restaurant about a month ago, and it was like an hour and a half wait. We got back in the car and left. Okay, so when you don't have people eating there because they can't get the service that they would like to have, or the labor mark goes up to 25, 28, 30%, and those managers, they know what their labor rate is, and they start sending people home. So, oh yeah, let's pay them all $15 an hour, and then the labor skyrockets to 30, 31%. Oh yeah, let's send people home because we got to make a profit. That's the whole basis of being in business, is to make a profit. So how do they cater to that? Well, instead of spending $15 an hour on employees, how do you cut back? Well, robotics, automation. So when was the last time you were in Taco Bell or McDonald's, they got kiosks where you can do your ordering from. That's how they cut back on their labor, how they keep their prices a little bit lower. Because the problem is there's not enough money to go around to pay these people. Their profit margin is so slim, and I strive to give a good economical remodeling package to my customers. I'm not rich. I'm not wealthy. I work every single day. Matter of fact, when I get done here, I got stuff to do with my business also. But when you have a small business, a small franchise, and they're trying to make ends meet, they're going to send people home. You might see that worker working a lot of hours because they can't afford to hire the people at the rate people need to do. And then you got these people that are unemployment and they're sitting at home eating bonbons and watching the soap operas or whatever else they watch. Okay. How dare he pay them more? Is that what? You build it and they'll come? Which was a good movie, Field of Dreams, if you've never seen it. And I've been on this podcast 11 minutes so far, and I've already dedicated 10 minutes of it talking about the hazards of raising people's pay too much. The minimum wage should be set by the state and city, not the federal government. $15 in New York is not $15 in Waco or in Big Spring, Texas, or even in Copper's Cove, Texas, where I'm at. So those legislators, 535 plus the delegates, they just need and the president, vice president, they just need to zip their mouth and let us, people in our own states, make the decisions for our citizens. And stop giving away so much money that we don't need. We're printing money. The pauper's going to come calling. Is $33 trillion in debt? Really? I can't even fathom how much money that is. Man. So what else did he write? Oh, he got us $1.9 trillion. Oh, $1.9 trillion in aid. He didn't do that. The Congress did that. And it took, that was a COVID bill. Yeah. So, he can play the game all he wants. He isn't doing nothing but sniffing hair and forgetting how to read his teleprompter. Heard one guy the other day, why doesn't he just turn that teleprompter around and let us read the teleprompter and him be quiet? That's pretty much what he said. And that's, man, $1.9 trillion. Let's end the extra money. Okay. We're fooling ourselves by spending money over and over and over again. You got these poor countries all over the world that are not even doing anything close to us. We fooled ourselves into playing chicken little with the pandemic. We should have dealt with it. It's dealt with. Everyone's getting better. Texas only had 33 deaths yesterday reported. We're making great strides. It's over. It's over. Let's get back with our life and get going. Okay, hire people. Go back to work. Go back to work, people. You can do it. It ain't gonna hurt you. Okay. He wrote environmental policies. I wrote the bill. Why wouldn't I support it? I wrote the bill on environment. Oh, come on, you're killing me. He is killing me on this stuff. So you would kill the XL pipeline, which terminated at count right now 11,000, but I bet it's with secondary and tertiary jobs closer to 25 or 30,000 jobs that were terminated. He terminated the XL pipeline on day one of his presidency. The company that runs the XL pipeline terminated the project finally. They said 12 years is too long. We're done. All that land has been bought, and all that pipe has been bought and made, and all that stuff has been installed, and he just ran them out of business. For a project that was environmentally sound, that would allow oil to be brought from Canada all the way down to Houston, instead of trucking it and railing it from the Canadian border to Houston, which is more environmentally sound. The risk of getting on the roads and the rails and bringing oil down, or by pipeline. Y'all think about that. To go along with that is, even though he struck down saying it's an environmentally project that we had to terminate it because it wasn't sound for our country, he lifted sanctions off the Nord Stream. I think it's a Russian pipeline in the Baltic Sea. Come on. So it's all right for the Russians to build a pipeline and pump oil into Europe and try to blackmail them into being subservient to the Russians. But it's not okay for Americans with American skill, American steel, and supporting the Canadians and bringing oil from their country down to Houston, Texas. What do y'all see the stupidness, if that, for lack of better terms, of what's going on here? Are we fooling ourselves to believe that our leadership, that some people elected, that I would say 80 million people voted for him? That was the count. Is he fooling us to believe that he's got our best interests at heart? Or is he in bed with the Chinese and the Russians about stuff that's going on and trying to make us into a socialistic state where all three of us are in cahoots with each other? I don't know. I may be wrong on that. But his son did serve in companies that are in China, in Ukraine, and Russia. We won't go into that part because that'll just set me off. Okay. But just those two. Just think about the Russians being able to build a pipeline and us not able to build a pipeline, and then they try to. I think it's the Dakota pipeline that's trying to be improved or expanded. The government's trying to shut that down. Well, lo and behold, a Native American tribe jumped on it and said, "What? You're killing our jobs. We need these jobs. Why are you stopping this? There's nothing wrong with the environment or the technology behind this pipeline, and our people need work." These are Native Americans in the northern part of the United States, and people complain. You hear Democrats complain, "Oh, the Native Americans don't have jobs; they're in complete poverty." Well, dude, if you knew what was going on, and stop being your little proud Democrat thing, and support workers in the United States and allow them to have jobs so they can actually support their families and their communities, instead of like killing us with your stupid environmental rules because you're subservient to the environmental lobby. Go out and get some pictures of take pictures of the coastlines and stuff of America. Okay, go find you a picture of what it looked like 100 years ago and compare it now, and you tell me that that there's environmental change. Well, maybe it's like we've only been here less than 500 years, and pretty close to 300 years, and you're going to tell me that the United States is being destroyed by us Americans, by the people living here, and the environment's continuously changing. No, it's not. You go through cycles. You had the ice age, and then you have a mini ice age. So now with the mini ice age, which lasted in Europe for several hundred years, it was abnormally cool. So it actually warms up, and it's, oh, we're going to die. Everything's melting. No, it's not. Because you got the ebb and flow of, how do you go? You got your ups and you got your downs. You got your ups and you got your downs of the climate. Okay, consider. Okay, look at it like this. Okay, and we'll move on to one more subject. Your air conditioning. You set your air conditioning on 70, 73, 72, and it's cooling down, okay? Because, oh man, it got 76 degrees in the house. Let's turn the air conditioner on. Air conditioning is going to go on. It's 76. You got it set on 72. Did you know that your house will cool 1 or 2 degrees below what you set it on, and then it'll stop, and then it'll fluctuate and go back up to 73, 74. Then your AC will turn back on and cool your house and go down to 71 or 70. It's a constant flux, right? Same thing with the environment. Nothing's really ever changed. They think it's changed. It's not. Okay? We'll leave it at that. Okay, last subject I want to get to, the sidekick. Okay, so we got the whisperer and we got his sidekick. You know who his sidekick is, right? Kamala. Okay. So this girl's been kicked around for months because all she does is her stupid little laugh. You know, running our country is serious business, and it's not to be taken lightly. Okay, and laughter is a good thing, but when you do it sarcastically, come on, you're not fooling us. Okay, this lady was put in charge several months ago, almost 100 days ago, of the border immigration thing that's going on down there. Hundreds of thousands of people have breached our border and got caught. No telling how many people breached our border and didn't get caught, and how many drugs were sent across the border and didn't get caught. Okay, how many weapons have breached across the border and never got caught. You got cartels making, I think the going rate right now is $16,000 per person to come across the border. And most of the time they get caught by the U.S. officials. 16,000. The cartels operate in the United States and in Mexico. And we're not doing nothing about it because our government doesn't want to close down the border to keep people from illegally coming across the border and then invading our country. And I understand some of those people are dirt poor and they need help. Okay? But we're being used. We're being used by the Democrats, and we're being used by the cartel because all they want to do is make their money and establish their power. It's been almost 100 days since the vice president was supposed to have come down here to the border. And what did she do yesterday? She flew to El Paso, the home district of one of her good supporters, Congresswoman Escobar, in El Paso. One of the quietest sectors on the border. They've already had 85,000 apprehensions. But you go 800 miles to the southeast, Brownsville, Matamoros, McAllen, Donna, La Jolla, I can't believe I said that. But they, instead of going down there, where there's been like well over 280,000 people, that's where the problem is. So she's going to go to a safe zone, spend like 90 minutes on the ground, and then fly to Los Angeles in her $2.7 million mansion for the weekend. Was this a fueling stop so she can just land, refuel, and keep going? Why didn't she go 11-hour drive south to the RGV, the Rio Grande Valley, where all this stuff is happening? If you were an illegal immigrant, why would you go to El Paso? Why would you go to Tijuana? Why would you go to McAllen? Because McAllen is the shortest distance between 2 points, and if you're traveling in the worst terrain, environmentally, weather, and criminal, you're going to go on the shortest distance between Guatemala and the United States. And I'm just saying Guatemala because it's the northernmost of the Triangle countries, okay? But you got people from El Salvador and Nicaragua and Honduras and all over Latin America and Europe and Africa that make that trip. You can take a train from Guatemala to Monterrey, or even to Matamoros, I believe. Okay. My daughter was in Guatemala this week. She was in Antigua. Okay, I was joking with her. You know, you can miss your plane. Just catch a train, go to Brownsville, and walk across the border and show your passport, and just keep walking, and they won't stop you. Okay, but she's catching an airplane later on today. But what did she learn by going to El Paso and not Matamoros? Nothing. She did not know. She didn't learn nothing, because the problem is in the south part of Texas, the destitute living conditions, the kids, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old kids taken across the border and dropped there, and they go. You know, in Texas, you may be listening to me from Maine or New York or something like that, but in Texas, we have mountain lions. We have coyotes, we have wolves, we have wild dogs, we have, I said mountain lions and cheetahs, lions and tigers and bear, oh my, you know what, we get them. We have snakes, poisonous snakes. Why would you drop a little kid off into the frontier and leave? That's child abuse. And I don't care if their parents are illegally here in the United States. They need to be rounded up and thrown in jail. I fully support Governor Abbott and his Operation Lone Star, where they're going to arrest illegal aliens coming across the border and arresting them for trespassing and putting them in the jail. And they're going to continue to build the wall and complete the wall across Texas. So we have some more security, because all you're doing is letting those people across the border, whether they're legitimate or not, but well, if they're coming across illegally, they're not legitimate, but their claims may be legitimate. But you let people come across the border illegally, and they get a legal job. That all they do is they steal your identity, your social security number, so they can get a job here in the United States. And what happens when they get those jobs? If they're here illegally and they don't do that stuff, you get paid under the table, which those employers are guilty of. And they lower the wage base to where people will get paid in those jobs. You ever think about, hey, well, I'm only paying $40 to get my lawn mowed, and you have an Army retiree trying to get $100 a lawn, and he does a really good job. But hey, I'm not hiring you. I pay this guy over here $40. He does the same thing. Well, he crazy. Yeah, this guy's illegal. He's not even supposed to be here. You're keeping him here. Man, we're killing ourselves. So she made a big whoop-to-do about coming to the southern border. She went to the southern border route, but she went to the wrong side of the southern border. She should have been down at RGV instead of El Paso. Maybe she should have, while she was in El Paso, talked to Robert Francis O'Rourke Jr. and tell him, don't waste your money, don't run for the governorship of Texas, because this guy's out there. That's another story for another day. Man. So we got the Whisperer. I should just show you the video again, but I'm not. We got the Whisperer and his trusty Sidekick. She had to remind him the other day that he forgot to say something in a speech. So, what is actually going on in our government? Do we have a president know what's going on, or is he being used? Like I said in a podcast a while back, is he the puppet or is he the puppeteer? You draw that distinction. And if he's not the puppet, if he is the puppet, who is the puppeteer? Who's pulling those strings? Who's telling him what to say? Is it Susan Rice? Is it Barack Obama? Is it Kamala Harris? No, she won't. Because if something should happen to Biden, and she had to go against Donald Trump for a general election, she'd get soundly defeated. This lady can't win an election. But so who's the puppeteer? George Soros? We need to get out there and win elections, whether it be city elections, school board elections, state legislature elections, governorships, the presidency, congressional elections. We, as Republicans, have to get out there and do it. Quit slaughtering our fellow Republicans across the board while the Democrats just look and sit back. Ha, 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 ha. They're embarrassing themselves. We can't continue to do this. We put our sights on the Democrats and the Democrat Party, and we declare war, and we go for it. We win. We have to win. Our country depends on us winning. Our family, our kids, our future of our country depends on us. Let's get away from this stupid socialistic experiment that they're trying to instill upon us and demand will be fiscally and environmentally and election standards brought to bear, where everything is treated fairly and done right. We have a constitution that tells us what we can and can't do. And we need to abide by that and not just ignore what we read. Okay? So, this is James. If I can whisper too, like the president, maybe y'all will listen to me also. Okay? So, I went a little bit over what I usually do. I just wanted to touch bases with y'all about the Whisperer and his Sidekick. And until the next episode, remember this is episode 41. Spread the word about my podcast and let's get it out there and get me some more subscribers. And I love talking to y'all. Please send me some feedback, okay? This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report. I'll see you on the flip side. I'm out.